Welcome to episode 462 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent here as always, and this week is a fun one. Jason is back once again. He's been back a few times in the past few months. We've been talking about some albums that have reached their 30th anniversary. And this week, today, June 18th, 1996, Zakk Wylde released his first solo album, Book of Shadows. This podcast episode is releasing on June 18th, 2026. So here we are 30 years later, taking a look back on it. This album is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I know you can loosely say that about a lot of albums that you love, but I firmly mean that. It's a top 10 album for me. There's a track on here that I'll talk about in the episode that is a top 5 all-time song for me in my life. This album was, Zakk has only done 2 technical solo albums, I guess. He did Book of Shadows 2 under his name 20 years later. So 10 years ago now. That came out in 2016. Great album as well. But this one really stands alone in not just his world, but in a lot of people's world in the history of rock music, in my opinion, when it comes from guys that are pretty much known for being, hard rock or metal guys. A lot of dudes throughout history have done side projects or solo projects or more laid back stuff, whether it's acoustic based or stepping into other genres or whatever it may be. And Zakk Wylde, of course, expanded upon this later on. Black Label Society had Hangover Music Volume 8, and they had several tracks throughout the years on other Black Label albums where he would do it in a style similar to the songs he was doing on this album. But this album still went further than most of that. Black Label, outside of maybe Spoke in the Will and a few other songs throughout history, never got completely stripped down the way some of these songs do. But as we talk about a lot in this talk coming up with Jason, even though a lot of them got stripped down, he still came right in with a big, huge, electric guitar solo that could have fit on, a hard rock ballad. So he did something pretty unique to not just himself, but to the world of rock in general. It's not an album that shot up the charts or anything. It was that period of time, like right when he had stopped touring with Ozzy and he had released Pride and Glory. A couple years prior to this, I believe that came out in 94. And that as well was a departure from what we knew him with. What we knew him from at that point was basically Ozzy. Pride and Glory is another album. If for some reason you haven't ever listened to that full album, you're doing yourself a huge injustice. Just like Book of Shadows, they're 2 albums that kind of just stand on their own amongst not just Zakk Wylde's career, like I keep saying, just in the history of rock music. They're 2 wildly underrated albums that came out from the same artist in the span of, under 3 years. And a fun fact that we didn't talk about in here that I'm kind of surprised we didn't bring it up is James Lomenzo, who was a member of Pride and Glory. Later, he was a member of Black Label Society. Prior to being in Pride and Glory, he was a part of White Lion. Post Black Label Society, he joined John Fogerty for quite a many years. I saw him live several times with John Fogerty with my dad. And then now he's in Megadeth. He was also in Megadeth like 20 years ago, the first time that David Ellefson left. And then now he's back after the most recent time that David Ellefson and Dave Mustaine had their falling out here like a few years ago. But James Lomenzo also, besides being in Pride and Glory and Black Label, he played bass on Book of Shadows. And James Lomenzo has been on this podcast in the past. It's probably been 5 years ago now, probably halfway through the run of the history of this podcast. That was a highlight for me. Love that guy. Love his playing and his music. We just wanted to throw that in since he's a former podcast guest and we forgot to mention that in this talk. But yes, Book of Shadows, such a phenomenal album. I'm going to say that many more times here coming up, so I'll stop saying that. Just let you know who sponsors this podcast before we get into all this talk with Jason. And that would be DEB Concerts, a promoter based right here in Oklahoma. They've been bringing awesome acts to the Tulsa area and to Rocklahoma now we're going on a decade. I believe that later this fall will kind of be a decade of when they kind of got their beginnings. Maybe it was 2017 where they kicked off with the first show. I need to look back into that, but yeah, It's been quite a run for them, and here on the podcast as well. They're the longest running sponsor. Brought tons of great acts to the Tulsa area like Megadeth, Last in Line, Saxon, Buckcherry, Great White, Junkyard. The list is great and the list is long. John Corabi a couple times, Lita Ford, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube. Steps outside the rock world as well sometimes, and also book the they book the Roadhouse stage, the DB concert stage in the Roadhouse area at Rocklahoma every year, and this year is no exception. Lots of great acts playing this year. Slaughter, Mark Slaughter's been on this podcast a couple times. The mighty Ugly Kid Joe, one of my favorite bands of all time, will finally be playing Rocklahoma for the first time at the 19th Rocklahoma, so that is very cool. Tons of great acts on that stage like Molly Hatchet, She Hates Me Not, Ozolution, a Van Halen tribute called Jump, and so much more. So hit up rocklahoma.com to see the full lineup and all the other bands that are playing the DEB concert stage. Follow DEB Concerts on the socials, and of course we keep you up to date right here. And speaking of Rocklahoma, the Rocklahoma Bitches are another sponsor of this podcast. Christy and Kendra are mainstays at Rocklahoma now, 15 years, I believe. Going on 15 years of the 19 years of 20 years as Rocklahoma is promoting it, even though this is the 19th Rocklahoma, but whatever, I'm just throwing that out there. This year, the 19th Rocklahoma, the Rocklahoma Bitches will be out there once again. They are always very charitable with not just their time and their merch, but with their money and with their actions. They also sponsor the Cancer Sucks benefit that happens in Tulsa every year after Thanksgiving, a great event that goes on at the Cain's Ballroom. Christy usually bids on and wins at least one guitar out there. As you've seen at Rocklahoma, they always auction off guitars and all the money goes towards charity. Guitars signed by artists that are performing at Rocklahoma each year. And they've got tons of Rocklahoma Bitches merch that they will give out to you for absolutely free. They never charge for anything. So if you see Christy or Kendra flying around the campground, they've usually got some Rocklahoma Bitches merch on them, whether it be t-shirts, pins, koozies, hats, markers, stickers. The list is great and the list is long. They always have new merch every single year. So whatever you get, I would hold on to it because we're talking limited edition, collector's items, people. Hoping to have these lovely ladies on this podcast here in the coming weeks before Rocklahoma, so we'll be talking about that once it happens. But of course, when you see Kristen Kendra out there, I'm sure you didn't hear about him because of Thunder Underground, but mention Thunder Underground to him. Maybe they'll tell you something nice about me. Who knows? We've also got Sunset Tattoo, a tattoo shop located in Midtown Tulsa. Tattoos are done good and proper. Of course, they're state licensed. They've got over 30 years of experience out there as well. Jake and his crew are stellar. Female artist on staff, full-time, Native American owned. You can't go wrong. Get in there, talk to them. They accept walk-ins. You can also call ahead or message ahead to set up a time to get in there to talk about what work you're looking to have done. If you need help bringing an idea together, they can, of course, help you with that. You can see photos of all their work throughout the years on their socials. Sunset Tattoo Tulsa on both Instagram and Facebook. I've had multiple tattoos done by Jake. I'm very happy with them. And I know many other people that have as well. Many touring artists have been tattooed by Jake throughout the years. If you're into rock and metal, you obviously are because you're listening to a podcast about it. Get in there and check out the shop just for that. The walls, besides being littered with photos of tattoo work, are littered with memorabilia, concert photos, posters, autographs, vinyl, everything. Jake is true to the spirit of heavy metal and rock and roll, and he's got millions of stories as well. So hit up Sunset Tattoo and tell him you heard about him right here on Thunder Underground. Alright, so Book of Shadows, the subject at hand. I don't need to say a whole lot because we're going to talk about it shortly, and I talked about it here at the beginning. But again, I don't need to keep restating myself, but this is definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. And it's always, funny to talk to people that love Ozzy and love Zakk's era with Ozzy or love Black Label, but they've never really listened to this album, which I get it. If you're one of those people that you're just into heavy stuff and you don't like, stuff that's more laid back, then that makes perfect sense. But there's a couple songs on this album that, have a darker edge to them musically. most of the album has a more dark, somber edge to it lyrically. And we talked about that as well, that he kind of interweaves that with the dynamics of the music being more uplifting sounding. But that's kind of been a theme with Black Label, whether it be, a standard Black Label, headbanger style, riffy metal song, or as compared to a Black Label, more dark, somber, ballady song. He does both those things very well. But to me, it's always just been I've always marveled at the fact that he is just the best at the stripped down, just as a true songwriter on a piano or an acoustic guitar, when the guy is just world renowned for being, one of the most famous, and not just most famous, one of the most popular, hard rock and heavy metal guitarists of not just the past 35 years, but pretty much ever. So yeah, if you're for some reason a Zakk Wylde fan who hasn't delved much into this album, or even like I said earlier, Book of Shadows 2 or Pride and Glory, definitely check those out as well. A song I wanted to mention from Ozzy that came out right around the time, it was right before this. Osmosis came out in late 1995, I believe it was October. And the track towards the end of that album called Old LA Tonight, it's just got Zakk Wylde's style all over it when it comes to like Book of Shadows and like that stripped down Black Label ballad style. Old LA Tonight is a song that if you're not familiar with, it's on Ozzy's Osmosis album. Go check it out. That's all I got to say. All right. I'll quit talking and let's jump into this. Here is Jason and I talking about Zakk Wylde's album, Book of Shadows. Book of Shadows from Zakk Wylde came out June 18th, 1996. This was his first solo album. I'm pretty positive both of us went and bought this thing on the day it was released because we were already diehard fans of this man by that point due to his time with Ozzy and, of course, that masterpiece of an album from Pride and Glory a couple years earlier.
Oh, of course.
I want to preface everything I'm about to say with I'm probably going to use a lot of the same adjectives over and over because this is one of my favorite albums of all time. Like a top
I
5.
agree with you. It's definitely one of mine for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely top 10. It might even be top 5. And there's a song on here that is top 3 or 4, like all-time songs for me as well. So just let that be known before I start gushing about every fucking track. The whole thing we said for years, all killer, no filler. Like this is a prime album for that statement.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this is a masterpiece. And I'll start this off with a hot take if you want. This is the best work Zakk Wylde ever did, and that includes Ozzy Osbourne. Like this.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, no, I'm completely in 100% agreement with you because this is in my notes. I said unarguably the best piece of music, the best collection of songs Zakk Wylde has ever done in anything of his whole career.
Absolutely. All right, so we're on the same page there.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just read this. I'll just read what I dictated to my phone. The songwriting is stellar. The singing is the best it's ever been. His singing on this record is the best. Yeah. Like, it hasn't been any better since, and it wasn't any better before. Like, right. I don't know what happened. I don't know what lined up in the fucking stars, but his singing on this record is absolutely out of this world.
Yes.
His solos are insane. Like, this is the most thought out, the most dynamic, the most we know Zakk can shred, and sure, people get tired of the fact that he just does pentatonic scales. But shut up, because his playing on this record, his solos is just it's up, it's down, it's thoughtful, but it's like I don't have enough adjectives to. As Ron Burgundy says, it cuts to the core of me, Baxter. I mean, it really does. It sounds corny, but I don't know any other. He's not just wanking. You can tell every single note of every solo on this record was thought about and agonized over. And that effort is something you do not see every day.
Right.
and it must be said.
Yeah, and I mean it's so well put together, just like what you're talking about, the guitar solos, because some of the guitar solos kind of come out of left field to me, like it's in the early days of hearing this.
Yeah,
Now it's just part of my being and I know everything that's about to happen. But when you first hear some of these guitar solos, you're like, what the, you know,
right.
like on the
And,
first
and,
track,
and
you're expecting this to be like an acoustic based kind of thing. And then he's whipping out these fucking solos, like these plugged in solos that just would fit as well on like a huge rock ballad. But he
right.
makes it work so well in this realm as well.
And the thing is like when you think of Zakk Wylde and when you think of Ozzy and Black Label Society and all this stuff, you're not expecting his best work to be an acoustic record.
Absolutely.
When I first heard Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell, I was on my way to work in high school on like a Saturday morning on 71st. And I'm like, oh yeah, I heard he was coming out. This will be cool. It'll be a little, a cute little thing until he gets back with Ozzy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I heard it and I'm like, holy crap. Like I didn't expect an acoustic record to grab me so much.
Yeah, especially
You
from
know?
someone that you were so adamantly about we loved because of the hard rock and the metal side of his being.
Oh, for sure, hands down.
Playing off of what we just said, I've said this forever that not just this album, but Zakk Wylde, the pinnacle Zakk Wylde, most people think of him just ripping, a solo at an Ozzy concert, but the pinnacle Zakk Wylde to me is when he's at a piano, or at least the song has piano in it, and he's playing like laid back stuff, like all the Black
Right.
Label songs throughout the years where it shifted into that ballad territory. That's like where he's the fucking master of that, and it's like his most beautiful and excellent music has always come from that realm. He's still doing it to this day. Like the new album has three or four songs that
Oh, yeah.
that
That new
fall into
album
that
is
realm
great.
that are masterpiece in my opinion.
We've talked about this. That new album is probably the best he's done in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I
I
frankly
mean,
I put it up there as one of his greatest Black Label albums, maybe a top three.
yeah,
That's how much I love this new album.
that needed to happen.
Yeah. And I'm kind of shocked, and I was shocked by it because, I love Zakk. He doesn't do wrong. Like you said, you throw it on, you like it, but I never expected him to put out a Black Label album this day and age that I held in high regard, like as one of the best things he had ever done.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the best thing he's done since probably Blessed Hellride.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great, great point. Well, and also I feel like this album it's very much a time period, like time and place album because a lot of people I'll mention this to people throughout the years that are fans of Black Label and they're not really familiar with it, and it's like, and it's hard to explain because you're like, it's stripped down, but it's acoustic, but it's not totally acoustic. It's got plugged in solos, the heavier elements in a few songs, but it's like, I mean, it's still to me, when I think of this album, I think of Zakk clean shaven with the bell bottoms on, and it's very much a time and place thing. I've seen him live in 1996 and just like, it's almost like a different artist almost, even though he played these songs later on with Black Label.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about the two times we got to see him back then. How lucky and how rare that was.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like seeing him, like, yeah, on that tour when he played
Yeah,
the Canes Ballroom, we
yeah,
saw that like right up front of the stage. And to me, like at that point, that was one of the first times I had seen, one of my favorite artists like from 5 feet away, because normally you're back in the crowd somewhere.
yeah. That was. Yeah, I mean, I still think about that show from time to time. That's the kind of thing that sticks with you.
Yeah.
When you're big in music fans as we are. And
Yeah.
the media play in store, get out of here, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That
mean,
whole,
just every everybody's just sitting cross-legged like in kindergarten around this chair, and Zakk is playing for us, just shredding for us.
yeah.
I mean, when do you get to see that?
Yeah. And when would you ever see that? It's like,
Absolutely, yeah. It'll never happen again.
right. I mean, I still have the
It
poster that,
might. You just might have to pay $900 for it.
oh, for sure. Yeah, I still have the poster, from that media play event that he signed with the date and
Right.
everything hanging in my kitchen right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, I lost mine. I lost mine.
Uh,
Many moves and a divorce. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Who knows where that thing is now? I wish I had it back.
Well, the next day after that, me and Thrasher went to Oklahoma City to see a show there.
Oh, that's
And
right. I forgot about that.
And it was the same thing. It was in like I forgot what that club was called. It was the same club we saw Iced Earth in back then, that Bricktown or that small hole in the wall
I
thing that
yeah.
held like 200 people. Me and Thrasher like went outside after the show and met him and just talked to him while he was loading his van. And he was even, he talked to us for like 10 minutes and he even recognized, I don't remember if it was both of us or one of us from the day before. He's like, "Weren't you at that signing thing yesterday?" you know, and he was very talkative and we talked about Guns N' Roses and all that because that was a time period where he was like rumored to have been like supposedly
Oh yeah.
replacing Slash and all that, and but yeah, let's jump into these songs. You already mentioned, hearing Between Heaven and Hell. It's the first single. I mean, or at least around here in Tulsa, KMOD locally, played this song and way back, way beyond empty, like a decent amount. And
Right.
I mean, it's really the perfect opener for this album. I think it's got because it's the perfect middle ground of what this album brings as a whole. You
Oh
know,
yeah, for sure.
lyrically, it's great. The guitar solo just the first time you hear it, just like really jumps out because you're in this mode. It's like, oh, it's laid back, Zakk. It's like, acoustic bass, but then he whips out, like a hard rock solo here in the middle of this thing, and it's like it's not what I was expecting the first time, but now you can't imagine it without it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, I kind of get it. It was the perfect thing to come out with, uh, right out of the gate.
Well, the second track, I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you always saying that this was like the pin, like your favorite song from this album. Am I right
Oh
on
yeah,
that?
I mean,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's just a shimmery, epic. The lyrics, the guitar work. This is just one of the. It was like one of the opuses. It was an opus on this record, if I could use that word.
oh, absolutely. I mean, it's such a great song, and the guitar solo at the end where it just abruptly cuts, is like
Yeah,
another very cool aspect about this. And like, it's a dark song. I mean, a lot of the lyrics throughout this album are dark, but this one, like musically, is dark as well. And I feel like, when you look back at it in hindsight, like this should have been like the calling card of this album. They should have like just pushed the shit out of this song. Because in
right.
'96, like, Alice in Chains was still a big thing. It's like this would have fit in perfectly, between Mighty Mighty Boss Tones and Weezer, because you've still got those grunge bands putting out dark shit like this.
Maybe just because it was so slick, I don't know, but it was such a just a calling card for this record, I think.
Yeah. And we got to, when he did or when Black Label did the Unblackened tour, we went and saw that in
Yeah.
Wichita. And,
Yes,
this was one of the tracks he played from this album, which fits perfect with a Black Label show.
yes, it sure does.
Okay, the third track, this is one of my 3 or 4 favorite songs of all time. I believe this is Zakk Wylde's greatest work. If you could say I can only listen to 4 or 5 minutes of Zakk Wylde for the rest of my life, it's this song. This is fucking perfection from beginning to end. The piano intro, straight into that, slide guitar. It's one of his lyrically, it's perfect. His voice is perfect. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a fanboy dork, but like this song is like perfection from beginning to end. I want it played at my funeral. The way he portrays these lyrics with that guitar solo is like one of my favorite guitar solos of his of all time. And it's both somber and beautiful at the same time throughout this entire song. It's like, the same thing Typo Negative where the master's at. A song sounds so fucking dark and somber, but it sounds beautiful at the same exact time. I'm going to stop myself so I don't just keep saying masterpiece and amazing over and over. What's your take here?
I don't have the song list in front of me. Which one are you talking
Oh,
about?
shit, I did not say. Sorry. Road Back
No, yeah.
Home.
Well, you got so taken, you got carried away. I need to get the song list up. My bad.
All good. It's Road Back Home.
Oh yeah, that's one of the. It's catchy. Road back home. I mean, come on. That we all want the road back home, don't we?
Yeah.
And the solo is amazing.
And it's got that kind of, it's almost over the top, but it's still, I mean, it's not over the top because it's perfect for the song, but the solo at the end, when he comes back and like solos out throughout that fade out, which I'm not a fan of
Right.
fade outs. I've told you that a billion times, but I'll let it
Yeah, but
go
you
in
have to
this
be a
song
fan
because
of
it's
this
so
one.
perfect up to that moment.
Yeah, it just you get the whole vision of like being on the road and like an early morning road trip or and the rain and all that stuff. I mean, it just paints a good picture. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything Zakk, it's just everything we were kind of talking about preceding this of him like being a master at these kind of songs specifically. Well, the fourth track was the other, kind of single that got pushed was Way Beyond Empty.
Right.
And I remember, when this album first came out, it was kind of, I would say it was one of the few songs that I was less pumped about, even though it's a good song. And obviously looking back, I have a different view now, but like, I didn't really care much for the chorus back then, which I did. I still don't understand why, but like, so as time went on, I like this as much as anything on the album. It's,
Oh
it's a great, like love song, if you want to call it that. It's just a very good track.
Oh, I love the I don't even know what to call it, but the kind of the Spanish percussion in it.
Oh yeah.
I always liked that. I thought it was a good vibe. It was a good message.
It's the first, song that, features an unplugged solo here. And it
Yeah.
kind of, listening back, I feel like it almost gains steam. Like once it hits that solo, it gets stronger as it goes. Like he sings like with a little more like emotion or like urgency towards the end of
It
this song as
had,
well.
it had a like a 70s country vibe, like it could have been an outlaw country song.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. The next track is Throwing It All Away. And
Right.
we just got Ozzy's song on the new album. Of course, many, many 20 years ago, he released In This River in honor of Dime. And this song was for Shannon Hoon, which is something that, a lot
Right.
of people didn't know back then. Like I didn't even know it for a few years, I think, whenever the internet became more prevalent, probably. I mean, it's just like everything else on here. It's just such a beautiful fucking song. And
Right.
I love how it's like, it's very, very somber and how he lets this song build before it gets to the chorus. Like a lot of people would have put that chorus, a minute in, but he waited like through two or three verses before he got there. And I think that makes it more impactful.
And he said child a lot.
Right. Yep. This one, two or three other songs, and one of them's even got it in the title, right?
Right, right.
The guitar solo in Throwing It All Away to me feels like it could be like on a big heavy rock song, and
Oh,
it somehow
definitely.
fits just as perfect in this song as well, which is just crazy that he can.
And that's what he did on this record that was so amazing.
Yeah.
You know, he just completely balls out shredding over acoustic stuff. Who else can do that?
Well, the sixth track is What You're Looking For, and this was always like
And,
it was immediately one of my
well,
favorite tracks. Sorry.
it's what I'm looking for
Yeah.
because this was one of my favorite songs on this record.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rolling Stones once sang a tune. I mean, it's so catchy. The guitar work. I love the outro and the kind of the build up to the oohs and the ahs and all that stuff. And it's just such a fun song, dude.
It's like it really stands alone on this album, just like in its feel and its style. Like you said, it was immediately one of my favorite songs in the album, and like significantly upbeat musically compared to other songs, but it also gives me a vibe almost of like 80s Southern rock in a way, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't necessarily sound like anyone in particular, but I feel like you could have thrown it in the early 80s with 38 Special and all those kind of bands, Molly
Right.
Hatchet, and it would have worked.
Totally. Absolutely, dude. And I loved his vocal delivery on this song, just real husky and real, just full of attitude. This is probably one of my favorite songs on the record.
The next track, Dead as Yesterday, lyrically, another masterpiece. This song almost sounds like two songs put together, but put together in a way that like somehow seriously works perfectly.
Oh, and I mean, we have to mention his vocal delivery at the end of the song.
What am I
I
drawing a
mean,
blank on?
where he's like as dead as yesterday, and then he kind of knocks on the guitar twice, and then he just goes into the ooze and I'm not going to do it because I
Oh,
can't
gotcha.
sing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it just shows his range and his soul. Go back and listen to it when we're done. I mean, it's one of the high points of the album. It's one
Oh,
of the high points of
absolutely.
the record. Like, dude, not only can this guy just play like a motherfucker and write songs, his voice is just crazy on this record. as a guy that was not primarily a vocalist, he took a lot of chances on this record, and that's one of them. Is that
Yeah.
little outro part?
The next track is Too Numb to Cry. And, I've said a million times, or since we've started this, that this, album as a whole is a masterpiece. I don't think Too Numb to Cry is any less of a great song, but I feel like if I had to put these songs in order, it's going to be at the end. It's just like it's the song that I don't like glom onto when it comes on, like almost every other track on here. Not saying it's bad, but that's just kind of the way I've always felt about it.
I get that. I get that. It's pretty deep, dark, and somber. So
Yeah, which
like
is
it's like, man, we're really getting depressed on this record here.
yeah, which is maybe that's a good point because the other songs that have like this somberness to the lyrics still feel slightly upbeat in the music, and this one he fully went in on both sides of that.
Right, right.
Well, the things you do, this song has a very similar vibe to Between Heaven and Hell, like when it starts and
Right.
as it gets going.
Yeah.
But lyrically, we all know a few people throughout our lives that you could dedicate this fucking song to, and
Yeah.
it's got a really bright guitar solo, and that the outro guitar for it it kept building. It's a bit darker in the lyric than what you feel like this music is portraying. But I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of like what this whole album has done for the majority of it anyway. I mean,
Go
that's
ahead.
actually where the lyric, the Rolling Stones once sang a tune came from, right? The things
I
you
was
do.
about to say, I think I got that mixed
Yeah.
up, but
Now that I'm saying that out loud, yeah.
that's a. But hey, whatever. I mean,
You
it's
make
30 years.
Satan look like Christ. Yeah.
I'm allowed to mix something up.
Oh yeah, you can get wrong every once in a while. Yeah. Yeah, the Rolling Stones once sang a tune singing songs of sympathy, but none were sung for you. That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. It's a good lyric, really.
Yeah, the whole thing, you make Satan look like Christ. I swear you do.
I work with a lot of these kind of motherfuckers.
Right.
I do.
Well, the next song, just like what you're looking for, really stood alone in itself on this album, which is A Million Miles Away.
Yeah, it had like, yeah, this was kind of the most electric song on the record, I think.
Yeah, I feel like the whole thing is like because I
It's a
was
good song.
listening
It's
to
a
that
good song.
intentionally when I was listening to this again earlier, like I kind of focused in on that, and there's not really in any kind of unplugged element to the song unless it's kind of hidden in
Right.
the background. I almost think it'd be cool to hear Black Label do this song like in their current incarnation right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but it still fits though. It's fine.
Oh yeah, it's very, it's the riff in this song, it fits and it works, but it's like very, very much an outlier because like the riff at the end almost gets into like that Ozzy No More Tears territory. But yeah, overall, it's a great song. It's got a great melodicness to it. It's got a great kind of open, airy style that a lot of his stuff with Black Label doesn't have.
Absolutely.
And the final track, at least on the original album, I mean, I know it released with like some extra tracks later on, but I Thank You, Child. Another fucking masterpiece ballad from Zakk Wylde. It's
Yeah.
perfectly placed on this album as the final track. It's like you can't tell if he's singing to a child, if he's singing to a woman, if he's singing to someone that's still here, if he's singing to someone that's dead. That's what makes it so beautiful to me is it's like it could be placed, it's very obvious what he's saying, but it could be placed in a million different facets for different people.
Right. And I think the heaviness at the end of this song, the syncopated heavy, it's just a great way to end the record.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think this is just a perfect last song on this record.
Yeah, me and my ex-wife, she was also a huge fan of this album. We're considering playing this at our wedding, and I kept thinking, well, do I play this ending part, in a church or whatever? Looking back now, obviously I should have, but I'm just like, maybe
You
not.
should have
And I
kept
mentioned
all
it
that
to
shit.
right. I mentioned it to Lonnie. Lonnie Walters, our good buddy. Um,
Right.
Back then, he was into editing and, he knew Pro Tools. He's like, I could edit that shit for you. Because this was previous to, me being able to do that on a computer in 12 seconds like I could right now. But all that to being said, it didn't happen. So there's some useless info for you.
There you go. Some trivia.
But yeah, I mean, it was re-released later with, 3 great songs. But it's like, I know in like a couple of these others we've done, we've talked about the unreleased tracks or the bonus tracks. But to me, this album is so fucking perfect as it is.
Right.
I just want to leave it at that.
Absolutely. To me, that's the album.
Yeah. Yeah, always will be. So again, just kind of like summing it up, it's like if someone's listening to this for some reason, I would assume if they're listening this far into a thing about Zakk Wylde, they know about this album. It's still to this day one of those albums that I just randomly, even people that don't listen to hard rock, I'm like, listen to this album. I will champion this till the day I die. That
Oh,
anyone that
absolutely.
listens to any music genre outside of just something that's extremely different, like EDM or something, it's like would fucking love this album, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate you doing this once again. This is the what fourth time we've done this here in the last couple months. We had Metallica Load a couple weeks ago. We had Pantera's The Great Southern Trendkill, and we had Def Leppard Slang in May. Kind of looking at that way, The Great Southern Trendkill, Load, and this album all within a month and a half of each other is pretty cool, for our youth.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't it in '96? You had like all those that you just mentioned, but then we had like, was it '96? You had Stomp 442, and then you got Osmosis too.
That was 90. That was the end of 95.
Okay, never mind. My bad.
I know because I did some reels about it last year when it came out, so or on the anniversary. Yeah. But
Gotcha,
yeah, as
gotcha.
a whole,
Okay,
I know.
hey, never mind then.
But I think 96 was Wise Blood, right?
Right, right. See, that's another one.
Steve Vai, what was that Fire Garden? Was that 96?
Yeah,
Or
I think
Sex
Fire
and
Garden. I think
or Sex and Religion?
that
I
was
know there's several others because I
that's a
kind of
great
looked at it
record.
too.
Sex and Religion was '94.
Okay. Man, appreciate you doing this once again. It's always a blast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to do it. It's fun. Brings back some memories.
There you go. A huge thank you to Jason once again for taking some time out there to come back on and talk to me about an album that both of us hold in very high regard, like the highest of regards, like an all-time personal favorite. Book of Shadows from Zakk Wylde, 30 years old. If you're listening to this the day it came out, or at any point that you're listening to this now, this album came out 30 plus years ago now. We're getting pretty old, but if you didn't know, Zakk Wylde put out Book of Shadows 2 20 years past this point. It came out in 2016. It's a really good album. I don't put it at the level I put this one, but it's still an extremely good album, as are most Black Label albums, and of course, that masterpiece, Pride and Glory, and the stuff he did with Ozzy on No More Tears and No Rest for the Wicked, and of course, Osmosis. So much other stuff throughout the years that Zakk's been a part of, but this is the pinnacle for me. So really happy to talk about it. We've talked about a few of these other 30 anniversaries here in the past couple months. A couple weeks ago, episode 460 was about Metallica's Load. And I'm pretty sure you have an opinion on that. Whoever you are right now listening, everybody's got an opinion on it. Even if it's just like, well, it's all right, but most people's opinion are, I fucking hate it or I fucking love it. So we do a deep dive on that one, really talking about some of the songs that we hate, that I, hated instantly and then started liking later, or a couple that I still don't like, or ones that I truly loved from the beginning, and all that great stuff. And Jason, that being his favorite band, we really dove into what has turned out to be one of the most polarizing albums in the history of rock music. But then at the beginning of May, we did one on Pantera's The Great Southern Trendkill. It reached its 30th anniversary, as did Def Leppard's Slang, which is also another very polarizing album, just on a smaller level than Metallica's Load, just because it wasn't as big a thing at that time period, obviously, because that was the mid-90s, whenever music like Def Leppard wasn't in the mainstream. But it's still a fun album. It's just very kind of weird for Def Leppard, so check that out if for some reason you never have. But speaking of the podcast in general, so many great guests throughout the years, including James Lomenzo, who played on Book of Shadows, including coming up, the very next episode should be with PJ Farley. He's the current bass player for Fozzy and Trickster. He's an original member of Trickster. He's been on this podcast before. He's got a lot to talk about. He's got solo work as well. He's also been a member of Raw for like 25 years. He's been a member of Eric Martin's band for quite a long time too as well, so he's got tons of stuff to talk about, so looking forward to getting that one out. Just last week, Matt Zane was on this podcast. Matt Zane is the vocalist for Society One, but currently he is making a documentary. He's also a filmmaker. He's had other documentaries come out. He's worked on music videos for Static X and other artists. And he's currently working on a documentary about Wayne and Tara Ray. Wayne, I should have said the full name, Wayne Static from Static X, and Tara Ray Static, his wife. They both passed away, and this is a documentary chronicling their marriage and the end of their lives, basically. And it's been met with a lot of opposition and drama from Static X themselves, and we talk all about that. A good hour plus talk with Matt, so check into that one. It's pretty interesting. Looking forward to seeing that documentary when it hits. I've also had on recent people like Johnny Kelly of Typo Negative, John Bush of Anthrax and Armored Saint, Philip Schaus of Ace Frehley's band and Accept. Throughout the years, members of Accept, Saxon, Diamond Head, Motley Crue, Whitesnake, Megadeth, Testament, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, Dio, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Living Colour, Tesla, Skillet, Shinedown, Hellstorm, White Zombie, Prong, Helmet, Biohazard. The list is massive, my friends. 461 episodes previous to this you can check out. You can listen at thethunderunderground.com. You can stream it right there, and you can also stream pretty much anywhere podcasts are heard, like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and everywhere else. So wherever you're listening right now, hit like, follow, or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes like that PJ Farley one. And if you ever see anything posted, whether it be this episode or a reel, there's daily reels coming out on social media. Anytime you see something, if you just click like or a comment on it or share it, that's a great, free, easy way to help this podcast. Because anything to help get more eyes upon it. Follow on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky Threads, all those things. You can look for Thunder Underground. I've got daily content coming out that is separate from these episodes, so be on the lookout for all that as well. And for this PJ Farley episode and a couple other episodes I haven't announced yet. And once again, a huge thank you to Jason Wood for coming back. DEB Concerts, Rocklahoma Bitches, and Sunset Tattoo. And until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.